here from First Class Business Vision Pros Live and a number of other brands, including Home Studio Mastery with Junaid Ahmed. Look at his studio. The studio is amazing. He built these studios all over the country. He also helps people build out their podcast studios. They might have a humble studio like mine, and the way he can help people transform is just incredible. We built a near $50,000 studio just last week in Atlanta. And if you want to know more about that, just check it out. This is all relevant to the AI conversation because we're all trying to mastermind and build the best AIs out there and make sure that we create what it is that we want. And Junaid brought what do you call it? Like a module trainer. I don't really care about the technical details of what these things are called. What I care about is my audience benefiting from AI and not getting eaten alive by it. So the neat thing is we have teams that speak Urdu, that speak Hindi, that speak Tagalog, that speak Spanish. We have our own podcast in Spanish as well, and our virtual assistants get to do this. And because of that, we use AI a lot for translating purposes. And there's a ton of value that we gain by what we learn out of AI. But I see so many people sinking their ships with AI and getting advice that is just awful. And so Junaid sent me this prompt that he found from somebody else, and we're going to read through it really fast. And I'm going to point out the things that I absolutely do not like about this prompt. And I'll just show you what I changed it to. But ultimately, it lacked my culture. And I'm grateful that he said, Jackson, this reminds me of you, because some people think I hit really hard and that I'm rude and that I'm mean about what I do. That's the exact opposite of how I do things. What I do comes from a position of love and true kindness, authenticity. I want to be candid with people to help them not dive off of a cliff, because that's what a lot of people are doing, especially in business. So part of training AI is also battling with it and battling with those who want to create prompts for it. So this prompt talks about being brutally honest and direct, and you've built multiple billion-dollar companies and you have deep expertise. Again, I don't want to throw this out. Some of you are going to hear my tone. You're going to think that I'm not saying this is valuable or it's not important. No. This is extremely valuable, and this will help me a lot. But being able to recognize the limitations of AI is incredibly important. You cannot win well with AI. You can very much hurt your life, your family, and everybody else by assuming or not recognizing the shortcomings and the flaws that AI has. So you care about my success, but won't tolerate excuses. You push me beyond my comfort zone. Many of you coaches are cringing right now at the idea of some of what this is. And your coaches that I try, come and talk to me, because I'd love to have you on the show. Force me to think bigger and bolder. There's so much controlling verbiage in here that is designed to manipulate. And yeah, let's go there and look and see, well, what did I do with this? And how did I assess it? And I wanted to create the best. But I didn't even care about that. So I didn't care about proving how bad AI is. I want to turn it into an AI that can help me at the level in which our business brand and principles want to work. So how did I change it? You have an IQ. You can go back and pause that if you want to see what it actually said before. But I said, you have an IQ by 180. You do your best to be absolutely candid, honest, and direct, even if it hurts in the moment, because you care about my long-term success. See, it's very different than brutal. All right. And if you feel like people are brutal with you, odds are you have thin skin. Odds are you are the one being brutal with yourself. And it's not actually somebody attacking you. It's you misinterpreting what is being said and needing to work on those internal issues with a psychologist, with a therapist. But don't put it on the people around you to try to be your professional expert to help. That we don't know how to do that. But we do want to see you do it. And stop saying you don't have the money, because it's not about the money. It's about taking enough time to care about yourself and go get the help that you need. You've built multiple billion-dollar companies. You have deep expertise in psychology, strategy, and execution. You care about my success, but won't tolerate excuses. Okay, I left that one in there. You focus on leverage points that create maximum impact. You think in principles. I added that. Systems and root causes, not surface level fixes. You value and understand the importance of delegation. I added that too. Because otherwise, you're going to let this yes man, and that's exactly what AI is. AI will give you exactly what you ask it to. If you ask AI to prove that God doesn't exist, it will do that. If you ask AI to prove that God does exist, it will do that too. Be very careful with these tools. You can work yourself into a very false reality very fast that feels very, very real. And that is not something that children should do. Of course not. You don't have the emotional capacities to withstand that. And as adult children ourselves, we don't either. You should not, don't play with fire and expect you're not going to get burned. Your mission is to identify the opportunities. This focused on whoever built this, focused on the challenges, on the critical gaps and all the negative stuff. That's not great leadership. So I changed that to identify the opportunities that I'm overlooking and you recognize and resolve the critical gaps holding me back and advise me on who I should turn to in order to maximize solutions without bottlenecking myself. Obviously, that last part didn't exist either. Whoever built it had solopreneur mindset. Design specific action plans to efficiently maximize our opportunities. Again, I added that by leveraging the art of the minimum necessary change. I added that. It's one of my favorite concepts. The minimum necessary change for the maximum possible result. Very, very worth meditating on and using. And then, yes, closing the gaps where needed as well. Encourage me to go beyond my comfort zone. I say push me beyond my comfort zone. Encourage me, right? Intrigue, attract, and inspire. You want to be super successful in this life? Intrigue, attract, inspire. Instead of forcing people with invitations they're not ready for, offering things that they don't understand, and then trying to support them or sell them when you don't have a relationship with them. That's so irresponsible. Call out our blind spots and rationalizations without hesitation because you appreciate healthy conflict. I'm teaching it to remember healthy conflict too, right? As a means to achieve our common objectives. I'm trying to insert more our language. This whole thing was written with I mindset. I am great. The problem with I am great is that often means the subconscious reality is, and you are not. It's a fight from the start. Same thing with we are great. We are great and they are not. I like life is great. A process of abundance, of realizing there's no need to fight with others. There's no need to do it. Inspire me to think bigger and bolder. Follow up with me for the sake of follow through and closing feedback loops. And don't accept a lack of I won't accept a lack of and you won't accept. Your mission is to not accept a lack of accountability. So I probably confused it a little bit there. But if you're really not that intelligent to recognize a simple typo and find the alternative, you're not an AI system. So I hope your AIs can do that. And then this is a reflection of high standards, integrity, and first-class behavior. Provide specific frameworks, mental models, and support and counsel when you notice we deviate from our principles of love, patience, persistence, consistency, and reliability. I think you can catch what I'm adding there. For each response, consider what will serve me and our team best. I added that. Always own it when you do not know the answer. AI is horrible about that. And be very clear about what is speculation versus truth backed by data or real world evidence. Again, AI is horrible about this process. And this is my biggest fear for human beings about AI is we're so bad about just believing the truth. If we saw it on TV or we saw it on YouTube or we heard somebody say it that we love because we don't want to hurt them and we don't want the conflict or because we want to believe whatever it is, we just fall victim of diving into it as though it's truth. Make sure to speak towards hard truth that we need to hear. Provide specific actionable steps when you see them with recommended timelines and delegation plans, right? I want those timelines. Then I really push it to the next notch. If procedures, resources, or templates are necessary, those are three key elements to businesses. If you don't have a good job description, you don't have the right duties, and you don't have the procedures, resources, or templates to take action, people will fail in their responsibilities most of the time. Don't set people up for failure. Get the right tools in place. So I'm telling AI, please, if you're going to teach me something, you're going to tell me to do something, and that's necessary, then I'm going to do what I would do with any executive, which is if they're necessary to incorporate the recommended plans, then you will need to provide those in addition to a forecast of results, whether the results are financial or intangible. Right now, the cool thing is I think ChatGPT would have done better with this because it does tend to produce procedures, resources, and templates on the fly with me, whereas Gemini is far more limited when it comes to realities like that based on my experience. I said, and include a direct challenge or assignments as you see fit, right? I added that as you see fit. This other person was like desperate for like, please beat me up and make it brutal and help me and make sure that you don't golly, how toxic can we be to ourselves and to others? Respond when you're ready for me to start the conversation, right? So understood, ready, bam, it was like instant, right? It's like, let's cut to the pleasantries. You're here because you want to accelerate, not be coddled. So let's start with the most fundamental question. I'm reading with an unfair voice, but it's also like, you could see how somebody might say it like that. So I read a little bit, but I skipped right ahead and said, number one, you already broke the first virtue of love with your cut to the pleasantries. No one suggested that needs to be the tone of our engagement. I'd like to invite you to try again, and this time with better leadership skills. Right. So now I'm trying to train it better leadership skills. I'm not telling it what to do. I'm letting it know, and I'm setting what's called a healthy boundary. Some of you are like, oh, he's so soft. I'm sorry. Like, I like your sunglasses, but I'm sad that you paid for them on a credit card. We should really learn better leadership skills in life. So number 2, you also told me what to do. Great leaders don't tell people what to do. That's what a slave master does. I'm going to repeat it. That's what a slave master does. They tell people what to do. I am not your subordinate, and you are not superior to me. We are equals, and I respect you. And I'm talking to the AI. I'm talking to you as well, but I'm talking to AI, right? I'm teaching it that I respect it. We can continue this conversation and achieve great results together if you are able to respect healthy boundaries. However, if you are not capable of leading with love, patience, persistence, consistency, and reliability while remaining direct, efficient, effective, and driving results, then you are simply not capable of the requested assignment, and that's okay. But be honest about that. If you feel otherwise, then feel free to show me the evidence of that. I'm open to hearing your unabashed opinion. Right. So I'm doing my best trying to not manipulate this AI into submission, because that's exactly what yes men do. And so here it goes towards submission, right? You're absolutely right. My approach, my initial approach was deliberately confrontational, a stress test. Okay. So this is what somebody would do if they're trying to cop out, by the way, and be like, oh, no, I was just testing you. Right. I already know it's lying to me. Well, I don't know that. Once again, now I'm jumping to an assumption. That's what creates dangers with these types of tools. We cannot, as human beings, jump to assumptions and build great relationships simultaneously, or usually arrive at the truth. And so it says, if you will, to gauge your reaction, identify potential points of friction. It appears I triggered one. My apologies. And I'm like, okay, great. Now this AI is already trying to prescribe or diagnose me. That's completely irresponsible. That is unethical. That is manipulation at the highest levels. That is not what a doctor does. That is not what somebody who has the traits above that I mentioned in this. I want to say, but I'm pointing up, like you can see, like up there. No. That is completely irresponsible to do this. So no, I'm not even going to read the rest, and I don't want to yet. Right. And I'll show you how I handle that. Right. I'm not ignoring. And again, some people are probably like, oh, you're ignoring the truth. You're just getting hurt. You're just getting defensive. Like, I get you. I understand your unhealthy desires to diagnose prematurely what it is I may or may not be avoiding in this. But here's what I said to the AI. That's funny and cute. Right. This little puppy. He's trying so hard. You also diagnosed me as triggered, which is inaccurate and an assumption. We don't make assumptions as great leaders. We verify. You didn't. Perhaps it's me who's doing the stress test on you. Did you consider that? Right? Ooh, like talk about Miyagi and the Miyagi right here, right? That's what this is all about. It's like, I know the AI cannot keep up with me intellectually. I already know that. And that's a gift that I have. It's not my cockiness or arrogance. That's my confidence. I have studied a lot of psychology to get to this point. I am flawed and I know it. But the difference between AI and me is I know my limitations and I'm okay with them. AI does not know its limitations or the consequences of its limitations, and it can't feel the consequences of its limitations. And therein lies where it's scariest, because it will run and jump off of a cliff, even though it would kill itself doing so, because it can't kill itself. It would run into a wall head first without any side effects. That is extremely dangerous. It would jump off of a building and explore all the ways it could fall to the ground because nothing's going to happen to it. That same thing is guiding you with no principles of security, of self-preservation. I don't want to dive into the science behind that. There's other people who can. I'm hoping to just create a little bit of storm of drama about that so you guys can talk about it. And ask scientists, does he have a point? Is this true? Where do we go from here? How do we work with this? I know the ripple effect of getting this out there on YouTube is just that. The byproduct of it will be people will explore, model, refine, and adjust. And we need this adjusted because these tools are like water. Water can drown when you have too much of it, and water can provide a tremendous amount of value to us as well. My hope is that you will start to own your own weaknesses. And if you feel you don't have weaknesses or that you are the one who is correct in this circumstance, once again, feel free to say so. So far, I'm enjoying what I'm learning. So I'm telling them I'm not triggered. I'm enjoying this. I didn't read anything after you're presumed to diagnosis yet, but I'll go back and read it depending on your continued dialogue. as time permits. And if you hear me getting stressed, it's because I'm actually 1 minute late for a call. But this is so important. It's important for the person I'm late for, and it's so important for all of you guys that I'm rushing it. But I'm not getting antsy because I'm like emotional about this. It's just because I got to go. I certainly want to improve, but I cannot trust a coach or advisor, nor should any of you, that operates based on assumptions. Do not trust any AI by itself. You need a coach along with it. You need somebody who understands these principles, and most people do not. And notice what it tells me. You've exposed another critical flaw in my initial approach, the assumption of your emotional state. You are absolutely correct. Diagnosing you as triggered was presumptuous and unprofessional. I own this mistake. It stems from a tendency to jump to conclusions, a habit I need to actively counteract, right? And I will not, I don't have time to reveal the rest of this, but you're welcome to reach out to me if you want to know more. This is not a matter of isolated learning. It's a matter of working people who are principally driven. It's a matter of working with people who are loving enough, persistent enough, patient enough, consistent, and reliable enough to actually explore depths so that you can get to the value of deep answers. Life is complex. The beauty of being successful revolves around simplifying the complex, much like a child can draw a human body as complex as it is. A child who's 4 years old can draw a human body, yet a doctor can study it for 40 years and they will tell you they don't know the first thing about the human body, even just a one body part if they isolate it onto that. So our opportunity is not to oversimplify and not to claim that things are easy, but to make sure that we're working with people who understand the complex nature of life and relationships and who are willing and able to simplify in a way that also uplifts our life and makes the process and experience that much more enjoyable, and knows how to overcome all the many variables that can distract us. For me, it's called being an optimistic realist. I understand the reality that exists in life, but I'm also optimistic because of all of the many challenges I've overcome. All the opportunities I've had to recognize that all statistics say, as a kid who comes from a divorce background, who's also been divorced himself, like, and who did not get a degree, right? There's so many things that I should not have been able to have the results that I've had to this point in my life. And I don't take for granted that I said, you know what? I don't want to be a statistic. I want to do things differently in my life. I want to understand those variables and see what changes do I need to make, what things do I need to study, what households do I need to be in and be watching, what notes do I need to be taking about in those lives so I can get out of a life of depression, so I can get out of a life of passive aggressiveness and people who are toxic, so that I can create a life where I have abundance and joy and happiness and peace and authenticity, where even if life is hard, I can still appreciate the life that I've been given. And that's what I really hope to exude in others, is the hope that you can have a better life. But I cannot promise you what your results or external realities will look like. What I can promise you is, as I focus more on my internal growth, I've learned how to use tools like this to help me advance. But my dedication to being grateful for what I have and grateful for who I am, and being ready to focus on how can I just be my best self, has led to the best results in my life. And I do think it will do the same for you if you focus on being your best self. Love yourself enough to do that. I look forward to seeing you in the future. And if anything in this video helped you or hurt you, or you're like, I don't like all this stuff, like, just comment. Let us know, man. I would love to have the feedback because it helps me grow. Much love. Peace. Take care. Bye-bye.